Craft anything in Vigor, one needs materials. New guns, new ammo, new consumables. All of them require varying amounts of materials to craft. However, this system is everything but perfect, and when it is used as a futile attempt to balance weapons and consumables, its flaws are very quickly exposed. Hi everyone, I'm Christopher Beast, and in today's video we will be covering why the Vigor material system is broken and why it is not an effective way to balance guns or consumables. So quickly, to make sure we are all on the same page here, materials are gathered through deconstruction of other items, crates, dyeing, and getting a material reimbursement, as well as the production through your shelter. Now, how are materials used in Vigor? Well, as I just said, they're used to craft everything in the game, and depending on the item and rarity, the cost of each item varies based off the rarity and item. Generally speaking, the lower the rarity, the cheaper, so a white consumable like disinfectants is cheaper than a gold one like iodine, and a white weapon like the M16 is cheaper than a gold weapon like the SVD. So let's start with the issues surrounding the mats themselves. The biggest issue is really in the amount of mats you're able to get. Starting with deconstruction, you can deconstruct any weapon in the game for half of its value, or sometimes a little less than half, to get a reimbursement on that item in mats. This doesn't sound like a huge issue until you realize that because of the availability of weapons in safe, you can just get weapons like purple H-bars and, SVUs, SVDs, and high, cost consumables, and rapidly deconstruct them, giving you large amounts of mats. However, this isn't the largest issue. The largest one is the reimbursement system. This is something that a lot of people who I talked to didn't even know existed. So if you die in Vigor, you don't lose everything. You lose all your inventory and that stuff, but you get a material reimbursement for your loadout, which is insanity. I don't know why this is a system. I don't know who proposed this. I don't know who cares about it. This is something that basically means that if I bring a really expensive H-bar loadout and I die, I get a large reimbursement for my risk, and the entire whole risk-reward system that the game is basically fundamentally built upon has a reimbursement. I think you can tell this is not something I support at all. But this makes mats a bigger issue, because if you ever watch my material drain videos, the thing is, most loadouts aren't enough mats to really do any real damage to your total mat amount. And combine that most loadouts are going to get a reimbursement if you do die, it means that you're really not going to be losing that many mats, even if you're crafting the most expensive items for most rounds. So if, materials don't really matter because you can just get most of your materials back through the reimbursement, and you can just deconstruct whenever your material level starts to fall low, then maybe we can see some value in it through its weaponry, in which weapons, cost a lot. So maybe it's a good system to, allow early game players to not get their hands on higher tier weapons and have to grind for them. Except it isn't, because the safe exists. Right now, safes normally will drop a purple gun. Ever since 8.0 has dropped, I have noticed a slight change in that H-bars and SGs are less common, but 249s, bugles, and ZAs have been increasingly more common. These guns, all of which, if you get your hands on, going back to our earlier issues of deconstruction and reimbursement, both of them give you ample amounts of mats from running these loadouts, which new players can get their hands on in one unboosted lobby by going to the locked containers. Massive issue, but welcome back to crates being an issue. Crates on average can drop up to 3 to 5 of any weapon, including purples. This gives large amounts of, high tier weaponry, and I would normally argue that crates aren't really that broken in Vigor until you consider the fact that shootout crates are still dropping other crates inside them. Even with the shootout overhaul, this is stupid, meaning a new player, all they have to do is get first in a shootout lobby, they get their nice fancy purple crate that's pretty high drop rate inside the shootout crates, and they have 3 to 5 of a purple gun. Finally, the biggest issue with really balancing around materials with any weapon is that most players don't care really about materials. And it's not that they're wrong not to. A 32,000 material weapon, the SVD, takes 1.5 hours to craft. But most people that you would ask would say their biggest issue with making the SVD their main is the 1.5 hour craft time, not the 32,000 mats. Why? Because if I die with the SVD, I get my reimbursement. While I'm just playing over that 1.5 hours, I'll probably get enough reimbursements and random items to make up the amount of mats I've spent on my singular SVD. So if you want to balance higher tier weapons, Vigor already kind of has an answer for you, and that answer is just making their craft times really long. So how can this whole system be fixed? It's clear that materials just don't really matter in the grand scheme of anything due to there being a lot of just other things that matter more in the game. Well, I'm going to be blunt and say I'm not sure about a solid answer, but my greatest guess would really be removing the reimbursement system. You know, the entire concept of having a game that's built around threat assessment and, risk versus reward, having a permanent yes, you don't get your entire loadout, and you actually don't get any of your loadout back. You just get mats back. But having a system like that basically hard prevents material drain, which is one of the only ways to advise people to not use high-tier weapons in games like Hunt Showdown, it is just dumb. And I don't know where the devs got the idea that this was needed to be added at all. I don't think it was in the original game, and it's just a bad system in my mind. And I would very much argue that it should be removed as soon as possible. But why are most other answers not really going to work? Due to the giant reserves of materials in the game and in the Vigor economy that exists due to duping, you're not really going to be able to fix much without really increasing drain. And then buffing costs, which is a big thing that I hear a lot of people argue, would not work because it would just hurt new players. I mean, it could, technically speaking, drain the reserves that a lot of players have, the vast amount of weaponry and armors that they have. But in the long run, it's not going to do very much because duping is still just too prevalent to matter right now. And even if duping does get fixed, it would just hurt new players, and I'm not really ever for hurting new players. I really just think we should remove this reimbursement system. It's dumb. It doesn't make sense, and it's just dumb. So the next time you're playing Vigor, look at the end of encounter screen. Look how many stupid mats you get back despite dying. And hopefully they make materials more worth it in the future. But I feel like materials are going to become just like food, another feature that just most people don't care about. But till next time, this has been Christopher Beast, and I'll see you all next time.